Welcome everyone to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives from artists, producers, engineers, and other individuals in the music industry. In each episode, we touch on not only what has helped the person succeed, but we also touch on what has shaped them into the person that they are today. I hope you're able to gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you on your own journey to success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 294 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today I welcomed an artist originally from Columbus, Ohio. His name is Lee. Lee actually now lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he was sent to me via Dom. Shout out to Dom for always booking amazing podcast guests for me. And this was a really cool conversation. He talked about taking his artistry more seriously around 2019 after having previous experience being involved in the world of hip hop, writing, and recording songs early on. And he talked about by the time he moved to North Carolina, he was almost like a pro at learning to utilize studio time, recording, writing, all that good stuff. And he talked about how his process has even evolved over the last 5 to 6 years as well, leading all the way up to his most recent release, an EP called Medura Blend that dropped at the end of 2025. He talked about being able to put out that EP and what it's going to lead to moving forward, planning a second part that will be dropping very soon. Overall, I just love Lee's energy and his spirit towards his family, towards the impact that he wants to leave, and just his effort and overall approach to creating music. So I thank him very much for stopping by this week. And as always, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. So without further ado, let's get into it. Well, this is episode 294. And again, Lee, thank you for being here today. I really do appreciate it. And we usually have the guests kind of just give a brief introduction about yourself. Like, how did you get into music? And, how did you kind of get led to this point that you're at in your journey?
Yeah, so I appreciate you having me on. So I go by the stage name Lee, and I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. I've been on again, off again, involved in hip hop since I was about the age of 10. So, early 2000s. Always was writing music, always had a knack for writing raps and stuff like that. So much to the point where I had the studio in the basement, and, I was recording CDs and burning them and selling singles on the corner at local gas stations just to get a little bit of spending money. So I've been involved with this for quite some time, but it wasn't until 2019 when I really locked in and started taking it serious. And that's when I was able to put out some music, starting with the project part 1 and 2. And then 2 years after that, my album, and then a year after that, my third EP. So, I guess you could say I'm not new to this, but I'm new to this.
Yeah.
I really am a student of this, and I guess that's the nutshell of me as a whole when it comes to me as an artist.
That's awesome, man. And I usually kind of like to start with kind of like the genesis moment, or if there was some type of pivotal moment in your journey where you decided to take it more seriously. And for you, you said that was around 2019. So what was that moment where you were like, okay, I'm going to lock in and really start being more consistent with this? Yeah,
so up to 2019, like I said, some people have heard me rap. I've done raps, this and that, but I didn't really take it serious. And in 2019, I came to Columbus. I don't live there anymore, but I came back home. I was visiting with a couple of friends. He had a basement studio at the time, and we're just in there listening to beats. We're drinking, we're smoking, a bunch of guys just having a good time, doing what everyone does in the basement studio. And freestyle sessions start, which in this basement, it was more of a we're just having fun kind of thing. So a beat comes on and it's, hey, let me hear what you got. And, people rap 4 or 5 bars. The next person raps 4 or 5 bars. And I'm a really introverted, shy, quiet person. So I'm just in the back kind of chilling. And they're like, well, let's see what you got. And I give them a full 32 bars. I'm using kind of subject matters, metaphors, similes, like all kind of stuff. And it's like people are just like leaning in closer and closer and closer as I'm rapping this freestyle. And like once I'm done, I take it all the way to the beat drop. So the beat's over, and then it's just like the whole room is silent. And like you can hear a pin drop, and then everyone's just like in awe, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do that. Like you actually like be rapping for real.
Yeah.
Like we playing, but you rapping for real. And just that reaction I got gave me the validation that I needed to take it a little bit more serious. I always knew I was talented, but I didn't know I was talented enough to really move a crowd and draw people in. So once I saw that, I decided to give it a shot.
That's awesome, because it really allows you to build confidence too in that moment, to be like, wow, I really, like you said, it's like, wow, I really kind of do have what it takes. Now it's like putting that into action each and every day moving forward. And obviously you're in Charlotte now, so you're not in Columbus anymore. What kind of led you to move to Charlotte? Was it strictly music related decisions, or was it more life related, or maybe a mix of both?
Well, more life related, you know, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but I'm married, I'm a dad. So it was more about the relationship and where that was going. And Charlotte made the most sense for the two of us. So that's where we decided to settle as of right now. But when I started taking it serious, I was living in Raleigh. So I was living on my own, and that's when I started trying to figure everything out. Fortunately, I had a foundation of understanding how it works with making music and what it means to go to the studio and how you should be prepared. Because, like I said, I made music in the past, so I was already familiar with that. So when I decided to jump in, I was pretty advanced for, I guess you could say, a newcomer.
Yeah.
And depending on which engineer you talk to, I'm very meticulous in the studio as well. So I'm the guy that's like, all right, how much time do we have? 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? Okay, well, we're going to set a timer for every 30 minutes. I'm going to record this verse. At 30 minutes, then wherever we're at, we're going to stop. We're going to spend 15 minutes mixing, and then after that, we're going to start the next one. And like I'm very on it. And I've been told that that's not normal in the studio, which I 100% believe.
Yeah. I think,
but that's just like how I'm wired. That's just how I am.
Well, that's the thing, because you know you're paying for the studio time as well, so you're trying to make the most out of every moment, which a lot of people I think early on probably don't get it, because they're like, either they might be on somebody else's budget, or it's their first time, and they're just like, oh, well, I could just go in here and kind of just, you know, relax and kick back. And it's like, sometimes you shouldn't approach it that way. You should approach it that, you know, your time is your money. So you should go in there and have a plan. And I've heard a lot of times even having a plan before you go in at all is a big thing. So that way you can just come in and start executing the plan as it goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I am now. As I've progressed, I've met with some other people, and now they're like, look, like, you want to do all this stuff in 2 hours, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Like,
the best bet is we'll probably lay down the vocals, and we might get a soft mix, but, like, you're not walking out of here with a finished track, which has always been my goal. It might have happened once, which was on a freestyle, and we didn't do anything to it. So I am getting easier to work with. But in 2019, I was very, very meticulous about how things went in the process of it.
Yeah. Well, that leads into another good question, which I think would be, you know, how has your process evolved as a creative, let's say as a writer too, because obviously writing is such a big part of lyricism, and that's kind of usually where it starts. So where do you kind of draw inspiration from these days, and how has your process, you know, I guess gotten a little bit easier or just gotten a little bit smoother as you've gone on over the years?
Yeah, so my inspiration is drawn from all kind of different stuff. It can be, I mean, we could be talking right now, and I'm not doing it right now, but there are times I'm talking to someone and I'm literally putting together a rap in my head as I'm talking, just based on our conversation. When I was around 2019, I had a job where I did a lot of driving, like 3 hours, 4 hours a day type of driving, and which is so weird. That was when I got my best lyrics down. So because I have nothing but the open road, good music playing, and I would just get these ideas, these bars in my head, and I mean, thank God for being able to just say what you want to say, and it writes it down in the notes for you, so I can drive and just rap into it, tell it to erase it, add this part, stuff like that. Over time, it's kind of evolved now to where I start off with, you know, maybe like a good 4 or 5 bars that I really like, maybe about a particular subject matter or something that I just think sounds really cool, and I just build around that. There are times where I'll hear a beat that's just, like, I can't not, like, this beat is so dope, I can't not let this go. And I'll do that. And there's been a few times as well where I've challenged myself to actually focus on a particular subject matter. And those are the hardest ones for me to write, honestly, because it kind of like draws me in and I have to stay in this box. Whereas I like to run free and talk a little bit about this and that and that and this. That's what I really like to do. But obviously I always like to bring it all together with good subject matter, which I've done a few times on some of my records.
Yeah, which is great because it kind of allows you a lot of different entry points to kind of capture those moments as well and gives you the options. And I like that because I think it's almost like you kind of got to use the technology to your advantage. Or like you said, just kind of like speaking into the phone and then it's transcribing everything right there for you, which is super helpful. And you can come back on it later and adjust it and kind of do things based on the writing. So.
Yeah, and I'll add, like when I was really, really young, I was the guy, like you remember like on 8 Mile when like he's just writing it and just wherever.
Yeah.
I mean, I was that guy where I kept a notepad with me everywhere I went, writing raps on just about anything and everything. And I don't know, man. Like, I wish I could find those notepads and notebooks because I'm sure there's some gems in there, honestly.
Yeah. I was going to say you might be able to pull something from the archives and, like, resurrect it in a way. You know?
Yeah, man. There might be something really good in there. Now, also, I was 10 to 13 years old, living an entirely different lifestyle. Yeah. So who knows what I was talking about? Like, who knows how much honesty is in there?
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's some really good bars in there for sure.
If anything, there's like fragments and bits and pieces that you could maybe like take inspiration from eventually. Do you know where those would even be at? Like, where would they even be?
I got no clue. We moved around a lot when we were in Columbus, so I mean, if it wasn't in that backpack, it most likely got tossed.
Yeah. So maybe someone out there has some of Lee's archival bars in a notebook. You never know.
If you do, please reach out. I'm happy to pay for it.
Yeah,
I mean, we can negotiate.
For sure. They might have put them in a museum by now. I don't know. Who knows?
Hey, there we go.
But yeah, man. I definitely want to touch on, you just released an EP, I think in November, December, somewhere in there, called Medura Blend. And so just tell me, I guess, how does all this stuff you've been learning as a writer and just as an artist overall, how is that applied to this most recent project? Because I think it's only 3 songs, I believe. And is it kind of a precursor to something bigger in 2026 as well?
That's a really good question. So to answer your first part, this Medura Blend was like an accident, I guess. So I dropped my album in 2024, You Got McDonald's Money, and I was planning to take a break for roughly about 2 or 3 years. And I did probably about 6 to 7 months. And then after that, I just started getting inspired, like we were talking about, started writing some really good records. I was challenging myself to make different type of music with a different vibe. And I also challenged myself to focus on who I am right now in this moment. A lot of my music before has always been who I was or what I used to do or where I come from, which is important because you need to know, to know where you're going, you got to know where you've been. So I always like to talk about that. But now that we've focused on where I've been, now let's talk about where I'm at right now, which was hard because, like the stuff I do in the traditional hip hop rap world isn't talked about. Like I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I like to take care of my house. I like to cook. Yeah. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about now. So, and there's not a lot of artists that are talking about that type of subject matter. So it was a real challenge for me. But I love the way that it came out. I had some really good people working on it with me. And I really, really like that I challenged myself and was able to deliver something different to my fans.
Yeah.
And to answer your second part of your question, originally it was just going to be, I'm putting it out and I'm done with it. I won't touch it again. And I'm getting this feedback now that's really, really positive. It's inspired me to go ahead and at least start a part 2, and it might even turn into an entire album.
Nice.
So I'm in the process now of writing those songs and things like that. But I think it's going to be something really special.
Nice. Wanted to take a quick minute out of today's episode to let you guys know of a way that you can support the show, a way that you can donate some funds to us, starting at as little as $5 or more via our Ko-fi page. Now, we've been using Ko-fi now for a few years, and it's been a very effective way to generate some funds that we end up using for, future guests, sponsors, just an overall way to keep this show as quality as it has been for the last several years, and we always appreciate any and all contributions. So if you go to ko-fi.com/The Proven Knowledge Podcast, that's ko-fi.com/The Proven Knowledge Podcast, You can donate, like I said, $5 or more. It gives you that option to do 10, 20, 30, or just type in whatever amount. Any contributions are appreciated. And, I do this show from the bottom of my heart for the love of it at the end of the day. But those funds are always welcome, because they do allow us to do more and be more flexible with how we continue to grow this platform in the future. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. The link will be in the description of the show notes of this episode you're listening to now. So definitely check it out. But without further ado, let's get back into the episode. And I like what you said about you're kind of letting the inspiration from real life kind of go right into the creative side of what you do. Because like you said, you didn't even initially plan to do any of this. And now here you are, you put out an EP, and now you're working on the next couple parts of it as well. And I think every creative can kind of relate to that in a way where you start at, whatever plan you start at, it's not really where you end up by the end of it. And sometimes it's like you said, I think you called it like an accident. It's like a happy accident, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just one thing kind of leads to another. So I think that's really cool. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that series kind of evolves as well. And I can imagine that each one is going to be slightly different too, which will be
it has to, because I'm different every day. I'm saying, but I'm different. I hope you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, for sure.
I have different experiences. I go through stuff, and things change, and I'm going to talk about what I'm dealing with right then and there in that moment. So just to, spoiler alert, and give you a sneak peek. Like right now, I'm working on a part 2 to the Bolognese freestyle that's on Medura Blend right now. And it's similar subject matters, but it's like I intentionally tried to pull back the bravado-ness of myself and on Medura Blend initially. And now I'm putting all that bravado back into it. So while also talking about who I am currently. So it's really interesting. It's different, but I think people are going to really like it.
Yeah, it shows those different sides too, which is definitely something that I'm sure listeners will be able to appreciate as well. So that's really cool. And obviously you just mentioned something that I think is very important, being able to, talk about things in your music that most people aren't talking about, but it's really genuine, it's really honest, and it's really who you are. And I always like to ask people about like work-life balance as it relates to music, because obviously you have a family as well, and I'm sure you got a lot of other things on your plate every single day anyway. So how are you balancing that with the creative side of things? Because obviously sometimes you got to have a left brain and a right brain, and then you kind of got to meet somewhere in the middle. So how is that for you nowadays, and what's that looking like?
Yeah, so I'm huge on work-life balance. Even when it comes to the music, there's times where I intentionally tell myself, no to the studio, not right now, because you got other things you need to focus on. For when it comes to the separation between the personal life and the music life, the reality is it's so mixed together that it's kind of hard to separate it, honestly. So I consider music a part of my work, and I'm doing my work, and then there's times where I might write a verse or two. I might write a hook when I got a good 15, 20 minutes to put something together. Then it's back to work. And then when it's time for the personal life, time for me to be with my family, I force myself to turn it off. My wife will catch me every now and again. I might be, like yesterday it happened. We were sitting down, talking, watching something, and I just bust out, just start rapping in my phone in the middle of the conversation. And she's kind of like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm working on this new song. So fortunately, everyone in my family, they get it.
Yeah.
They respect it and appreciate it. But it is something that I work on actively to make sure that there's time for this and there's time for that. And overall, my family and the personal life, that is what's most important to me. And I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize the happiness that comes with that.
Yeah.
And if that means I have to ease out and not write that verse for the day, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm decent memory. So if I have an idea, I'll probably remember it over the next couple of days, and I can just get to it when the time is right.
Yeah, I always look at it too as if you don't remember that idea for whatever reason, it's like it wasn't meant to happen. You know what I mean? I always think of it that way, because if it sticks, it was meant to be.
Exactly. I'm like that with shopping too. So like I'll see a shirt. Dude, you don't want to shop with me because I'm terrible. I go to every store and then I look at all the sales and then I figure out what I like and then I go back to the stores that I did like. So like if there's a shirt I like and then I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna leave and then if I'm still thinking about it 2 or 3 days from now, then I'll come back and buy the shirt. Hopefully it's there, but that's how I approach a lot of stuff.
I think that too, because I don't do a lot of shopping, but that allows you to scour for better deals too. Like if you can find a better deal, you're gonna go for the better deal anyway, most of the time. So,
always.
Yeah, for sure.
But people hate it shopping with me because you're gonna get a good 5 miles in with me if we go shopping because I will make sure I check everything first.
Well, I'm glad that your family is at least used to, your creative side and like how you approach music as well, because that's definitely cool. Because I know a lot of people, like obviously your family would be more used to it, but a lot of people might not understand it, you know what I mean, or get it. But it's nice to have family around that understands that. And for you, I feel like you've kind of, that almost allows you to achieve like a peace of mind that is very nice in that work-life balance. And I think that's what anybody could ask for, no matter what their situation is to just have a little bit of peace of mind at the end of the day. So that's really awesome, man. And congrats on all of that, because that's something that I know is probably very fulfilling and meaningful for you as just a human being. You know what I mean? So that's really cool.
Yeah, it is, man. I truly appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Is there anybody you want to shout out today? Could be, collaborators or just anybody that you want to kind of shed light on that we should know about that you've been working with?
Yeah, I just recently, so there's a lot of people. I got all these names popping up. I want to make sure I pick the right names. But the first one I want to shout out is my producer / engineer, Tay Keys. Super professional. First time I worked with him on his project, and I think he helped me deliver something that is really clean, well put together. In addition to my other producer, Keedron, who, I reached out to him and said, hey, I need a beat like this and that. I was all over the place, and he was able to deliver me exactly what I was looking for. And, also another artist, he goes by the name Solo, who I've been working with here in Charlotte for quite some time. But he didn't work with me on this particular project, but he helped me get my entire album out. Every single song he worked on that with me. So I want to give him a shout out. And then just lastly, I want to give a shout out to my wife, who's, my biggest support system. A lot of the things I'm able to do, I can't do without her. So big shout out to her, and then to all the rest of my family, my mom, dad, my brother, and all of my friends back in Columbus.
Awesome, man. And we're down to the last few questions here, and these are ones I ask on every single episode. The first one is, if you could go back 10 years ago, maybe give yourself any piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
If I could go back 10 years ago, I would tell myself to not ease up on music. At that time, I was in my late teens. I intentionally stopped doing music so I can focus on sports and school, and it benefited me. But now that I'm older, I certainly look back and see a window where I could have worked on music at the same time, and it probably would have took me a little bit further. I don't regret anything. I'm appreciative of the decisions that I made, but I would say just keep doing this music thing, and it might go somewhere.
Yeah, it's like those extra hours kind of add up at the end of the day. Yeah, I like that a lot. And we usually flip that then, and we say 10 years from now, where do you envision yourself musically, but also in life in general?
Yeah, that's another good question. That's like the question I ask myself every single day. Musically, I plan to be in a position where I can have impact on my community with my music in any way that looks. I want people to be able to listen to my music and feel something and get inspired to be the best versions of themselves, and to be a person that's going to contribute to their community and do good while also having fun. That's what my music's all about. Do good, have fun, work hard, play hard. That's pretty much the sense of it. Yeah. As a person, just being a good dad, being a good father, being a great son, a great brother, being the provider that I think that my family deserves, and being able to do that at the maximum level possible that I'm able to do it.
Yeah, that's the best of both worlds, I feel, at the end of the day. So that's incredible, man. And do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners before we get out of here?
Only thing I'll say is, you only have one life, and, take full advantage of it. I don't want to be negative, but any day could be that day. So make sure that you're happy with the decisions you make. Live with no regrets. And if there's a shoulda, woulda, coulda part of your life, go out there and change it so that you don't have to be a shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of person.
Yeah, for sure, man. I feel like I'm the same way. I kind of think that a little bit every single day, and it motivates me to do better as a person and just hopefully live life to the fullest as much as possible. And I think everybody needs the reminder now and then. So
yeah,
I definitely
I think so many people get stuck in the routine of, I just got to do this and do that. But it's like, look, you only get to do this once.
Yep.
Do what you want to the maximum, because you don't want to be in that position where you say, I wish I would have done this. And that's really like where I am with music as well. I told myself, when my son asked me, what did you want to be when you were a kid? I want to be able to say I wanted to be a rapper, and I made an honest effort at doing that. And that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, man, keep doing that and keep doing your thing. And congrats again on everything that you've been doing music-wise. And I'm looking forward to the new releases coming out soon. And if you ever want to stop back here for a part 2, man, just let me know and we'll make it happen. But thanks again for stopping by today.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I'll be sure to come back.
Just want to say thank you for tuning in today. Be sure to hit that coffee link in the description of this episode if you'd like to donate any funds. And we'll see you back here with another new episode next week. As always, thank you for your support.